first time you remember hearing about AIDS?
I remember this like it was yesterday because there was a local anchor named Connie Chung. I remember watching this. I was a boy watching this, and Connie Chung said that there was this disease affecting gay men, and as a gay boy, it obviously made me go, you know, boink, you know, and that was the very first time I heard about it. And I was also a boy with a weight problem, and so there were these diet supplement called AIDS. It was called AIDS, AIDS. And then I saw a Saturday Night Live episode where they made fun of that. They said AIDS is changing its name because they didn't want to be associated with this gay disease, you know. And oh, that's interesting. And the AIDS jokes began to make its way around school too. A big part of the confusion was like, how did people get it? So I thought, well, is it if you're just gay, does it mean you automatically just get it? You know. So as a boy, I was confused, and I thought, well, so if I grow up, does it mean I'll just sort of get it? I grew up in and around Silver Lake, and which then and now has a huge gay community. Then, as a matter of fact, I don't know if they call it now, but I remember in high school, junior high school, we called it the Swiss Alps. You know, that was how, like, we all knew that it was just like Silver Lake had this reputation, you know, of being queer. And I would take the bus on Temple, the number 10 bus. I still remember this. The number 10 bus from historic Filipino town, which would take me into Melrose and take me right at the corner of La Cienega and Melrose, where as a teenager I would just sort of get out and walk around West Hollywood. And I couldn't make myself go into the bars, but I would look at the bars as a boy and look at all the men dancing inside. So that was very, very exciting. I was on the cross country team, and we would run in different parks, and I would notice activity in different parks, which leads to my AIDS work, because I remember interviewing for the Asian Pacific AIDS Intervention Team in the early 90s, and they said they put out this call for health educators to talk about AIDS and HIV among gay men, gay Asian Pacific Islander men in particular. They said, you know, all of our applicants are really nice. They'll show up in their business suits, but we're really looking for people who know where the sex clubs are and the bushes and the bars. Are you familiar with that scene? And I said, I was there last week. So I mean, to think that I was meant to have this job to go into the bushes of Griffith Park, to go into what we call public sex environments, then into the PSEs, or the public sex environments, and to talk to men about AIDS and HIV and condoms. Yes, I was hired because I was qualified. Yes, I was hired because I really wanted to do the work. But I think I was hired because I was cute. I was a very pretty boy. When I look at pictures of myself, I was a very pretty boy. And so it helped being a pretty boy in the clubs and sex areas, because then people want to talk to you, you know. And so I didn't know that then, but I know that now. I'm like, oh, wow, you know. And it worked. You know, I was an outgoing pretty boy, you know. So I had no problem talking to people, and I don't think people had problems talking to me, you know. So we would just talk, and I think it was sort of this unwritten rule, because they would never say this in training. They would never ever say, go and flirt with the boys. They would never say that to you, you know. They would say things, you know, be culturally appropriate, engage them at their level, you know. But what it really was, oh, let's go and flirt, you know. So we would do that. We would go out and we would flirt with guys, you know. I would go out and flirt with guys, and guys would flirt back. And then we would talk about, oh, so, you know, well, what do you like to do in bed? Oh, really? Yeah, you know, condoms are really, really important. You know, do you know about condoms? You know, the kind of condoms. You know, how about latex? What kind of lube? You know, so we would engage that way. There was also really a real hunger, I feel, for community. There was a real hunger for Asian people to meet other gay Asian people. I knew what it was like to be that boy wandering by himself in West Hollywood, you know, not knowing anyone, not knowing who to talk to, not knowing who to engage with, you know. So then to become the solution to that is that we would approach wandering Asian men in West Hollywood and say, "Hi, how are you? Hey, my name is Noel. We have this rap group. We call them rap group then. You know, we have this rap group. We meet, you know, once a week. Come by, say hi, you know." And that was cool. What was interesting and sad about AIDS and HIV in Los Angeles at the time is that it was marketed as a very gay and white disease, very gay and white, right? So when I started doing hospice work, and I walked into that hospice, and I saw a Filipino woman there with AIDS, I thought, wow. I mean, she looks like one of my aunts, you know. It was shocking, and there was a lot of communities of color. I was shocked at the number of women who were in this hospice, you know, Latino, black people, and I thought this was not the face of AIDS that was being presented to us. They said to me, "Go into this room and be with this guy. He's dying." And so I, at 22 years old, 3 hours worth of training, you know, I sat in this room with this guy who slowly died. My mother was a nurse at an AIDS unit at a hospital, and she would come home and she would tell me stories about working with people with AIDS. If anything good came out of that from this end, is that my mother was exposed to the gay community for the very first time. And she was so moved at how we loved each other. She was so moved by that. She was so moved at how gay men cared for each other, how they cared for their husbands, their boyfriends, their best friends. I think about those gay men and what a horrible time that was, and they will never know, ever, how they influenced the life of my family.